Welcome. First question, important question. Who's done their Christmas shopping? Point of contention between Mum and I, because Christmas is coming very quickly. And beyond Christmas comes New Year. And the thing about New Year is it comes quicker than you think. And often what happens is it's kind of out with the old and in with the new. And you just sort of flick it away and then you get a New Year's resolution. But sometimes we don't think about what we're actually flicking out. How this year went. Where did you start? Who were the 5 people that surrounded you? Where were you? I wasn't even in the country. So it's really, I think, a good exercise to reflect on how far you've come. What were your goals? Did you have family goals relating to how you were going to engage, or to the extent you would engage with your significant other and or kids? Did you have professional goals related to your job, your consultancy, or your business? Or did you have networking goals relating to how many cards you were going to chuck in people's faces, or how many connections you were going to get on LinkedIn? And there's no right or wrong goal, but one common thread about these goals is that they all involve and impact other people to different extents. So, you know, if it's about your significant other, there's one other person. In your organisation, it's probably many. And unless you're networking by yourself, it's more than many. So it's a two-way street, it's an intersection, it's a 4-lane highway, but it always involves and impacts other people. So that's why I have a blank slide. No, that one. So you can put your own thoughts up there. And, you know, think about beyond what happened this year. What's your vision for next year? And the reason I ask now is because there's less pressure. Because come 2018, people will start getting quite frantic. What's my New Year's goal? Think about it now, because I do sincerely hope that everyone here has a few days, if not a few weeks, to slow down, take the time and reflect upon what has happened and what will be. Because it's in those moments, you know, when you have that quiet reflection, that clarity comes. It doesn't come at the beginning of 2018 sometimes. And it's not that we fail, we plan to fail. It's because we fail to plan.
That's right.
And then act. So what are your goals for next year? Is it about getting better quality leads? Because it's more important to have better quality than quantity. Is it about going from a job to a consultancy? Is it about building a pipeline? And I think pipelines are severely underestimated. It should be pipelines of jobs, opportunities, people, clients. Is it resurrecting the garage band from the 1980s? You know, is that the 2018 goal? Because that's okay. But whatever it is, it's going to take personal leadership. The reason being is because the goal involves other people and it impacts other people. So whether you're leading them and leading others to be impacted or to be involved, that has to happen. Otherwise, the goal just doesn't reach the extent that it could. And in sort of thinking about how we can personally lead our own goals, well, there's many ways you could do it. And I'm just here to share one perspective. But I try and keep it simple. I find that's the most effective. And I see it as a 3-piece puzzle. Each piece as important as the last.
Yep.
And if one piece doesn't fit exactly right, then your puzzle's a little skewed. But that's okay. There was momentum and it made a difference. So I'm just going to run through each piece of the puzzle and think about, and I ask you to think about, you know, how this year went, what are your goals for next year, and how perhaps you could take something away and put it into practice. So the first step is to model the behaviour that you want replicated. Now, if you're going from an employee role to a consultancy role, and you know you're thinking, well, it's a lone consultancy role, I'm not going to have to model my behaviour for my other workers or colleagues. But what's going to happen is you're going to have one, hopefully more than one, new clients. Or clients to start with. You're going to have to model the hard work that you're going to replicate with the clients that are going to come after them. If one of your goals is about family, you want to spend more time at home, then you're going to model the behaviour that you want to be seen. For example, and behaviour relates to goals. If your goal is to spend more time at home with your family, then your behaviour has to align with that. If you're working Monday to Friday, it's just an example, if you're working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, maybe 9 to 7, and 2 opportunities come across your path. Opportunity 1, you get paid double the amount of money, but you're working the same amount of hours, if not more. Option 2, you get paid the same amount of money that you're working now, but you work 2 days a week. Now that becomes a very interesting decision. And to think about how your behaviour aligns with your goal. So you know which option you should be choosing if your goal is to spend more time at home, perhaps. And what's also important, I believe, is to think about what values underlie your behaviour. What are your values? And as I have tried to do over the last few weeks, to clarify them, because no one else will do it for you.
That's right.
I know there's quite a few people in this room today that are probably here for the first time. You've been invited along, and I sort of put it out there. Why are you here? Is it to meet a new contact, or is it to satisfy some curiosity? And look, this close to Christmas, I hope it's more than satisfying any curiosity. You're here to meet someone. But what I suggest is that your values align with those of the person that invited you along.
That's right.
Something in how they invited you, something of who they were attracted you. Potentially it's that your values aligned, and their values of collaboration, advocacy, purpose, drive, time efficiency. So did you realise that that's why you were attracted to come meet on a platform like this? Perhaps not. And once I started to clarify my values, I realised that decisions I had made many years ago there was a pattern, because my values really almost dictated what decisions I had made, and also the ones that I could potentially be making in the future. So I found it a really worthwhile exercise. And in talking about behaviour, how important behaviour is, I think it can be underestimated. Oh, look, if I don't do this, then that's all right. Just one day, and that compounds. But a really good example that hit me right in the face was I recently went with my partner to Kupang in Indonesia, and it came through a contact in this room. We volunteered at an orphanage there. And there's about 50 kids, and at times we realised there were no adults around, unheard of in Australia. The government would not allow it. And we asked the gentleman and his wife who had put this together, how did you do this? How is it that come 5 o'clock, 5 to 7, the kids are taking it in turns by themselves to have a shower, come back, read, dance, do whatever they want to do? And he said, monkey see, monkey do. And that's at any age. You know, from the time they're introduced into the family, and really was a family, they see the behaviour that is accepted, that's the norm. And they follow it, no questions asked. And everyone helps enforce each other's behaviour. It was really incredible, it really was. And that's the power of modelling behaviour. And then you have the next piece of the puzzle, which is to inspire. And I put my hand up and say that I struggle with this one sometimes, because it's the connecting piece between the other two. But it's also about painting a picture, because it's inspiring a vision, and you cannot command others to see your vision. You have to inspire it. You absolutely have to inspire it. With Martin Luther King, his I Have a Dream speech, I know you all know that there's a speech out there that starts with I have a dream. It's the most known line. But and I read this only a few months ago, the rest of the speech. And what was so powerful about it on that day was the symbolic language that was used. It was how he shifted the focus from I to we. Yeah. It was how he appealed to common interest, everyone. It was a really incredible speech, and he inspired a vision. Now, it was his goal, but he had to shift the focus from I to we because he needed other people to help him out. Right. He needed to lead that goal and help others see it as well. At the workplace I'm currently at, I'm in aviation training, as Jason said, and when I first came on board, I was in the operations department, and I had to work with a gentleman in IT. And sometimes, I'll put this diplomatically, there can be disconnects between IT and other people. And it's because they don't see, or we don't see how what we do affects them and what they do affects us. And so I shouldn't use I and us, or us and them. But once I started seeing how the operation should go, I'd sort of say, hey, look, you know, it'd be great if this could happen. And potentially this is how you could do it. Now, what he came back with was always this. I appreciate your view. I see how you want to improve the operation. But if we do it this way, and I was new as well, so I didn't know my way around too much, but if we do it this way, it won't work for other clients. When other clients come on board, it's going to be really hard to then make or allow the system to work for them. He always looked for the other vision, the next vision of getting more airline clients, and we got them. But when we got them, because we had taken on board the way he had suggested, we achieved what I wanted to achieve, but we also allowed it that clients could come on board and the platform would grow. So that was an incredibly, to inspire that vision, to keep that vision going, was pretty powerful. And one more experience with inspiring a vision is at my last place of work, and I'm sure some of you have experienced this. There was a lot of cuts, a lot of redundancies, morale goes down, people start thinking I'm not safe, productivity goes down. It's not a nice place to be. And one day my line manager called me 2 days after the latest email saying who had gone, and sort of said, look, Sam, I met with the director of the board last night. We heard their vision for the board. She said, I wanted to pass on to you what that vision was, but also to outline how you, I, and our project are going to move forward as well. And she said, hey, I can't promise that I won't lose my job and you won't lose your job and this project will or won't go ahead. She couldn't guarantee any security. But she said, now that we know their vision, let's work towards what our project vision is and move forward. And I'd been struggling in productivity, I'll admit that. So that really helped me push forward in light of that insecurity that was occurring. And the way she did it was with such conviction and sincerity and passion. And that's what makes the difference. And as part of the Gen Y cohort, and we do get a bad rap sometimes, one thing that's incredibly important to a lot of us, I find, is that we want to find meaning in our work. We want to understand the significance of what we're doing, to understand the bigger picture. And it's not that we just want to know the board's vision. We want to see how we fit into the board's vision. That's right. And that's what's particularly important. And the greatest thing about vision is that it allows you to, whoever has the vision, whoever's inspiring the vision, can see greater than what other people can think. Yeah. And that's incredibly powerful. Steve Jobs did it. I don't know if all of you have seen it, but the product launch, when he said, can you think about a phone, the internet, and an iPod all together? He saw beyond what any of us could imagine was possible. You'll hear people talk who use this room to meet new contacts. Can you imagine a network of over 1,000 advocates? And you think, maybe, probably not through conventional means though. But it's inspiring that vision, painting that vision that sometimes we just can't see yet. But it really has to appeal to emotions. And the longer the behaviour that's been going on, which is to the contrary, the more you have to inspire the vision. And finally, the third piece of the puzzle is to enable. Each one teach one. So if, for example, your goal is to spend more time with the family, you've taken the first opportunity where you're only working 2 days a week, so you're at home a bit more. Mm-hmm. You've spoken to your significant other and said, hey, this is what I see us doing. Maybe it's going out, engaging in deeper conversations, but then you don't enable that person to speak and be heard. You've only gotten two pieces of the puzzle. You're not really enabling them to do it. And another way you can, and this often happens in organisations. You'll be there, the conversation's very surface level, no one's really saying what they're thinking. And then someone says, to be honest, this is how I feel, or something like that. And then you just sort of see the tin pin bowls go down and people start to open up because you've created a space, a very candid, open space, for allowing others to feel comfortable. Yeah. So that's one way to enable. Another way is to build skills, build confidence. But that takes time. And in today's society, time is probably our most precious commodity. Yeah. Because we all have the same time in a day. Mm-hmm. So what I've learned is, or what I've experienced is, people know when you're spending time with them and people know when you're not. Yeah. So when you do, it is incredibly powerful. Incredibly, incredibly powerful. And in this room is a perfect example in that you can use this room to build your network. So for those who've come, in for the first time, several times, you don't necessarily know how, but people are willing to teach you.
That's right.
To give you that time.
Yep.
What comes from time, from investing time? Trust. And from trust comes advocacy.
Yep.
Potentially much more than what you'd get in, a 2-hour coffee session when it's just about pitch, sell, sell, sell.
That's right.
Similarly, in a business, what comes from investing time, whether it's you to, a colleague, it doesn't have to be managers investing time. But what comes from time is hard work.
Yeah.
And what comes from investing time is loyalty. And that's quite rare these days, but it comes from investing time, because I know when my boss invests time in me, I think, this is why I'm here. And that leads to me being there for longer.
That's right.
So without time, it's a bit hard to enable others to act. And I know we've all seen it, where someone has thought, possibly a manager, has thought, I really need to enable others to take on some of my responsibilities, but they don't. And potentially the reason is because they'll have to invest time now for results later. But they feel like they can't. And what ends up happening is they resign because they've just buried under a pile of work. And who suffers? Them, their families, and also the organisation and the people who work in it. Because 4 weeks is not enough to hand over a job these days. So without the time investment and enabling others to talk and to speak and engage, that goal won't get all the way to the end. The picture will only be 2/3 done, because it's about all three. It's about all three pieces of the puzzle, because you have to be modelling. You have to be modelling the behaviour that you want others to duplicate. You have to be inspiring the vision that you want others to see. Paint the picture. You really have to paint the picture, and paint it with passion, paint it with conviction. I think some of us are afraid, and I know I have been at times, to say what we really want. Yeah. There's lots of opportunity in this world, so much opportunity, but we're just afraid to go, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and this is how I want to add value. You don't have to go to seek.
That's right.
And there's also enabling others to give back. And I know a lot of people in this room resonate with that. In giving you shall receive. Enabling others, adding value where you can. Yep. It doesn't matter whether you're the CEO of a company, an employee, or you're looking for work.
That's right.
You've lived a life. You have experience, and you can enable others with whatever advice or perspective you can offer.
Yes.
So moving on into the next few weeks, I do really hope you all have an opportunity to take some time, a day, a week, some hours, to think about how it all went for you this year, what are your goals and what you want to achieve, and how undertaking a mindset of modelling, a mindset of inspiring, and inspiring a vision, and a mindset of enabling can really help you achieve those goals, and particularly paint the picture for those that are going to be either involved or impacted. So let's get a running start for next year.